Yeah, like those thespians, they were like the freaky kids, man. Like there was this kid, he had like blue glasses. There's this like fat girl who dressed like gothically, like a witch. And then there was this other girl who was like all like talked about being stoned and stuff. And it's funny, like one time I was in a class, or it's cool actually. One time I was in this class, I was in chemistry class. And like I dropped out of a chemistry class because I wasn't getting a good grade or something like that, so I dropped out of it. And then I went into another class. And then the teacher, I think her name was like Brown, Bobby Brown. She told me to drop out of it because she said my grade wasn't good enough. And I think my advisor said if I did that, I wouldn't officially graduate. And I think that's maybe why I didn't get into CU. But I didn't really care anyway because I went to Fort Lewis and I was kind of excited to go there because it was cheaper and it was like away from home and stuff. But anyways, and it was a mountain biking area. But yeah, I was in this 10th grade. I was in this chemistry class, which basically to me was just like fucking math class. It was the most boring fucking shit. I mean, we did do the like experiments, but it was like once a week for like 2 seconds, and I never got to actually touch it because it was like not enough flasks or whatever for the people. So I was just like, fuck it, fuck this shit. So I was just like wasn't paying attention, but I was like, but like it was like pair up time for something, and I like went over to some girl, like that girl from the thespians, and then like the next day, her friend is like comes up to me in the hallway. She's like, "Oh, thanks, Kyle, for saving my best friend's life." She said all those kids, she said all the other kids in that class were like those fucking like trendy, fucking annoying, freaky, trendy kids. And I was like, "Oh, cool." So I was like the alternative guy. um, but uh, but yeah, those are the only classes I remember. What other classes do I remember from fucking 10th grade, dude? My God, I don't remember any more classes from 12th grade. Holy mother of God. Well, there was Latin class. And by the time the Latin class ended, we pretty much were pretty good at Latin, man. We could like read Latin and translate it. And I think when I went to Rome, I was actually reading Latin because I could still remember it. And I think I can read Latin now, but that's not mainly, I think, because I can speak Spanish. But it was cool because it was like history of Rome. I did presentation on the aqueducts. And back in early Latin, you know, they didn't use punctuation or spaces between the words, so that's why all you see is letters. It's cool. It's kind of like a history type of a thing. And I only took Latin because all of the other classes were full. I wanted to take French, that was full. I wanted to take Spanish, that was full. So it was like, all right, Latin. Because my last name is Pounds, it's P. So I'm like one of the last people who gets to choose classes. So I never get to take what I want. But anyways, holy shit, do I not remember any other classes? By 12th grade, we had another wing on the school. Like the school kept getting bigger and bigger. And they tore down a building and added another wing. And now if you look at it, it's this huge complex and it's really great. They were like tearing down houses. One guy didn't want to tear his house down, but they ended up evicting him and tearing his house down because they were going to grow the school onto it. And it's a really cool campus. And we had a locker. It was like three of us had one locker, me, Andy, and Mike for some reason. I don't know why. But it was the three of us shared one locker. And, yeah. Oh yeah, I joined the track team come spring. I did the track. Only I didn't actually. I only showed up one day because I showed up for track, and like there was the same coach who was the coach for cross country. And like we were supposed to do a run. He's like, "Now go off and run." So we ran up to the top of Mount Sanitas, me and Francisco and like Mike, I think, or some other kid. And we came down, and he's like, "Cool, so what'd you guys do?" And we were like, "Mount Sanitas." He's like, "What? Mount Sanitas? You're not supposed to run that far. This is track." And he like totally blamed me. Like he didn't even talk to the other kids who knew him more than I did. They were on the cross country team longer than I was. But he like jumps me. He goes, "You motherfucker, Kyle, you never fucking listen to me. It's your fault. You guys did Mount Sanitas. You fucking dick." And he like put his arms around some other girl to talk to her or something and like fucking shoved me. And I was like, and I looked at him walking off, and I'm like, you know what? I don't like this dude. I'm not going to fucking do this track bullshit. I'm just going to go home. So I went home and I didn't do track. And then like a week later, like my friend Mike, I think he was on the team. He's like, yeah, dude, the coach wants your uniform back. I was like, he never gave one. He never gave me one, dude. So, but that was that. That's all I remember. My God, I don't remember any classes in 12th grade. My God, in all of high school, I don't remember any classes. I remember biology from 10th grade, and geometry from 10th grade, and history from 10th grade. And then I remember, and I think it was 11th grade where I had journalism class, and algebra, and then like some kind of like psychiatry class or sociology, I think it was. And then 10th grade, I have, oh wait, I just remembered another class. We had pottery. In like 11th grade, we had pottery. And that teacher was a dick too, man. I was with my buddy and he was in my pottery class, Andy. And like the teacher, he was my teacher for like the whole class. And he walks by me like he'd never seen me in his entire life. And he goes, you fucking dick, you fucking kids, what the hell are you doing skipping class? And we were like, we're not, dude. we're just like, this is part of our class. Don't worry about it. We're not fucking skipping class. Don't you remember me? He was a dick, man. But that's all I remember of that class. I just remember. Oh no, that wasn't pottery. It was photography, where you have to like take a picture of something and then you go have to fucking develop it in the dark room. And I remember the smells. Yeah. So there's another class I remember. But that was 11th grade. 12th grade, we had Latin, chemistry, and chemistry, and a whole bunch of other classes that I have zero recollection of, which is really weird. Oh wait, ding, I just remembered another class. It was some kind of class, and I don't remember what class it was. Oh, that's where I met this kid named Creighton Bigger. He was on the junior national cycling team, and he was just there, just visiting. I think he was living with Ingrid and David Alonji, and he became my friend. And I took him climbing at the climbing gym because I had a membership there. Aaron Wheeler got me interested in that, and I was doing climbing at the climbing gym, so I took he and Ingrid once. But I never went riding with him for some reason. I should have gone riding with him, man. But whatever. I didn't ride with anybody. That was my thing, I guess. But there was this other dude. I remember Terrence Lapatoski again. He was in that class. And he storms in the class one day and he's like, I'm not coming to class today because I'm going to the Rodney King demonstration. Because that was when Rodney King, like when the cops got off for beating up Rodney King. So everybody in the class is like, wow, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go. So we all just left the class and the teacher was like, all right, no class today. So we went out front and there was like hundreds of kids out in front of the school. And I actually got up front of the school and I go, yeah, we should sign a petition. And I held out a notebook and I'm like, sign this petition. This is where we sign it and we're going to send it to somebody. So they like passed it around and I think they gave it back to me and then I gave it to like whoever the fucking organizer was, or I gave it to like the main person. But anyways, then we joined some like march, it was the fucking Boulder High March. Literally the entire freaking high school, like 1,800 kids, took over the entire city. We marched all over Boulder. We went up onto the university, and the cops showed up and escorted us. They didn't even try to kick us out because it was no use. The cops fucking blocked out all the streets and basically turned it into a parade for Boulder High, protesting Rodney King. We had like the cars and we were making like posters and like chanting and it was crazy. It like made the newspaper and stuff. It was wild. We took over Canyon and Broadway and we were just hanging out in the middle of Canyon and Broadway for like a half hour. Just like hanging out and chanting and stuff and nobody could do shit. It was so fucking crazy. But yeah. But that's the only class I remember. I don't even remember what class that was. dun, 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 dun. For spring break, I went on a trip into Utah with some half Apache kid named Brian and then Ben Marshall. But those guys just talked to each other the whole time, and it fucking pissed me off. And that I wasn't having fun at all. Hiking through forests or canyons and stuff. And then my car broke down, and I was driving it. And my dad actually insisted on being the one to go out there and pick it up. But then the school year was over, and that's all I remember of high school. But as far as home life in high school, I don't even remember much. I just remember hanging out with my parents a lot. My parents would have lots of parties and stuff. Like, back in the early 80s, my parents, we were the people who had all the biggest of the parties for the Buddhist community because we had the biggest house. Like, we had this ridiculously big house. It had like 20 bedrooms in it. It was insane. And so we'd have all these big parties there. And then, of course, our land. We had 38 acres in the mountains. We had one huge party there with like thousands of people. But even in our new house in 1445 Balsam and 15th Street, on the corner there, we in the White House, we had a lot of parties. My parents did New Year's parties and stuff. Buddhist people come over, and that was a cool house too, man. We had a huge backyard. It was like a house taking up 2 lots. And we had this big ass raspberry field in the backyard, and it always had raspberries. Like in the field, it had a ridiculous amount of raspberries. Picking up the raspberries and just filling up huge baskets of raspberries. We had a peach tree, but it only gave peaches the first year, and then it died. And then we had like cranapple trees, and then the kids on the other side of the street were some Buddhist kids who we'd known for a long time, the Arthurs. Richard Arthur and like Don Arthur, and then they had like Adam, Julian, and Michael Arthur. And so Adam was like a year younger than me. So we were like hung out. He was like a black belt in Taekwondo. He was like half Japanese, because like Don was Japanese. And we hung out. But then they moved up to Canada. And yeah, but I guess Adam had a problem. They were at Gay Sar's birthday party, and I guess everybody was tripping on acid, and he was on acid, and his dad came to pick him up, and he like freaked out and jumped out of the bathroom of the second story and landed on his head and was in a coma for like 3 weeks. And then when he came out of the coma, he was acting kind of weird. He like put makeup on his face and stuff, and just try to act weird just to freak you out. And like he was my weightlifting partner in high school. And he was really athletic, so we had fun. He was strong, dude. We would like doing like weightlifting together, so that was cool. But he was a total stoner by then. He'd like point at his pants and be like, "Dude, you know what that is?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "Pot resin." And I was like, "Cool." And I think he even invited me to go smoke weed, but I said no for some reason, because that was in 11th grade, and I raced bikes between 11th and 12th grade. And when I was racing bikes, I wasn't smoking anything. I was like totally healthy. I ate really healthy food. And there was this other kid who I was lifting weights with in that class. So there's another class in high school that I remember. Weightlifting class. And that was fun. I kicked ass. I was a good weightlifter. I wasn't a good squatter, but I was good at everything else. I was good at pull-ups and stuff. And this other kid was like really athletic, and I can't remember his name though. But yeah. Yeah, but that Balsam house was fun. I had a job also. From 8th grade all the way up through high school, I had a job like where I worked like almost every day after school. So that's like another reason I didn't really ride my bike or anything. Instead of being an athlete, I just worked. I was a jewelry polisher for Shano. He's a really cool guy, Buddhist dude we met through being Buddhist, and I'd like polish his jewelry and I'd listen to music and stuff. I wish I'd listened to more educational stuff. But I'd polish his jewelry, and then he'd travel all over America and like sell it. And so I worked with him for like 1, 2, 3, 4 different locations as he moved him around. Oh no, I'm out of time.